We're going to start with Mr NHI's Human Identity in the Hot Seat quiz, where I'm going to fire 10 machine speed, thought-provoking questions on identity management and security. So, Jeff, are you ready?
I was born ready.
Cool. All right. Are orgs taking NHI risks seriously enough?
No. Now, if you want a quick expounding on that, the reason I think they're not taking it seriously enough is I don't think enough organizations are even aware of what's going on with NHI in their organizations. As a result, they cannot take them seriously enough. And I think that's the biggest issue right now.
Okay. And are you a fan of vibe coding?
I am. Just like I'm a fan of skateboards. And the reason I use that analogy is skateboards can be very effective to get you from point A to point B. However, if you want to carry something expensive, fragile, or large, skateboarding is probably not the best method to use. And I think I take the same approach with vibe coding. There are some things that make sense. The biggest issue I see with vibe coding is the lack of guardrails in many cases. So things where there's high value, importance, or availability, I would question whether vibe coding alone is enough for you.
Okay, I must say that's probably one of the best answers I've heard to this question. So great insights and analogy there. Okay, this one you might find interesting. Do you think IAM for AI is more important than AI for IAM?
I think that IAM for AI is more important because there's a level of control you need over AI, similar to what I said in my previous answer. As far as AI for IAM, AI is simply another tool. I mean, it's a rather advanced one now, but it's simply another tool. Just like with every other vertical in your toolbox, AI should be used appropriately, and I think it makes sense. But we really need IAM for AI, and I don't think it exists very much.
Great. And do you think regulators are moving fast enough to keep up with agentic AI?
I think you could have stopped that question halfway through, and my answer would be no. I've never seen regulators move quickly enough for any technology in my lifetime, which is not real short. So no, I don't think so.
Okay. And do you think do you think hackers will be the biggest winners from AI?
Um, no, in the long run, I don't think they will be. They're certainly in the mix. The reason I don't think they will be is just like any tool or weapon, eventually, there's an arms race that always goes on, and the bad guys will win on a given day, and the good guys will win on another given day. But I think the reason that the hackers won't necessarily win is that they tend to have very limited goals, whether it's financial, political. There's a couple areas, but they're rather specific. Whereas business, corporations, and the good guys in general, and I'm just going to include all that, have broader goals, and as a result, have I think better methodologies and better outcomes. So I don't think the hackers will win, but I don't think they're going to go away.
Do you personally use AI agents?
Yes, I do in moderation. I don't use them to create content. I don't use them to create programs that I'm going to run in production. But I do use them to give me a foundation. If I'm beginning some research, I'll sometimes use agents to search what might be out there. Even then, I have to filter through it, but it gives me a good place to start.
Okay, great. And do you think organizations are putting time to market ahead of security controls for AI agents?
Absolutely. AI is the sexy thing right now, and that's going to happen. And as I said earlier, I've been doing this for 5 decades, and I could take a quote out of any one of those decades where a CISO or a CISO equivalent will say, the company isn't listening to me enough. They're running too fast. They aren't putting the right controls in, and I don't have enough budget. Yeah, I see you're smiling. Give me a decade, and that statement was made by a security professional every single time. So I'm not saying it's wrong because business is in business to conduct business. However, just like with any other tool, some of them, unfortunately, are feeling the pain of what happens when you go in without the right controls, without being considerate of what needs to happen from a security perspective. And that will balance. I'd say give it another year or two, and I think you're going to start seeing more and more balancing of security and the use of new AI tools.
Right, I do agree as well. Okay, do you think static long-lived credentials will still be here in 5 years?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
I've been hearing passwords are dead for about 35 years. So I know that now they're on critical life support. I admit that they are the beginning of the end. We are certainly into that, but I don't believe we will be completely gone in 5 years yet.
cool. And do you think PAM is going to change dramatically with the introduction of agentic AI agents?
You know, it shouldn't, but I think it will. And the reason I think it will is right now, many organizations either ignore PAM for agentic identities or they just treat them the same as the carbon based identities. And I think as this goes on more and more, organizations will start realizing there has to be a difference, especially if it's an ephemeral identity or it's short-lived in a different way. That it has to be treated differently. Standing privilege no longer really works with agentic. I've actually encountered one organization that said we use one identity for all of our agentic activities,
Wow.
and we had a short discussion.
Yeah, I'm sure you put them straight. Okay, and finally, should agentic AI identities be treated separately to standard non-human identities?
I think I just gave that answer. That the reason I think it's different is um, their presence, their longevity, and the fact that there is no ethics based rationale behind any activity that an agentic identity takes versus a human. And I'm going to assume humans have some level of ethics that they follow whatever they are.
Great. Look, I really enjoyed your insights there, Jeff. Clearly, 5 decades of experience, definitely shining through with some of your sort of insights there.